Hey, welcome back to the Milton Price Report. It's Chuck Charlton here with Royal Page and the Charlton Vantage team. And so I'm less than 24 hours away from hopping on a plane to go to Jamaica and bringing the kids along too. So it should be a lot of fun and a good family time for a week. It's always nice just to disconnect, and we've got a great team here to help you even if I'm gone. So this report covers right up until the end of January, and then we get the February stats in early March. So how's the market? Usually when somebody asks me how's the market, what I think in my head is what they're really asking is how's my market. And so different properties can do drastically different things. You might even find from subdivision to subdivision there's different elements and factors at work, and one good sale, one bad sale can completely change things very fast. So our team is actually 4 licensed realtors plus a full-time assistant, and we work out of the beautiful offices at the Green Life Business Center just at Bronte and Laurier. So the thing about this report, or looking through the sales, it helps to have some context and some interpretation. So just the raw data is good, I guess, in the preliminary stages, but when you start to get into what's the best option for me, oftentimes it is good to have a guide, whether that's us or someone else. I hope that you pursue that channel and look really at getting a good expert on your side. So this graph here is we plot the average selling price compared to the months of the year. We do it for all of the GTA because there's more reliability and bigger stats. If we just did this for Milton, the numbers wouldn't be big enough to really have a lot of reliability. So we do see that the prices do raise a little bit, or the average price raises up in the spring. And then towards the end of summer slows down a bit. Now, some of that can be attributed to larger homes selling, and then there's the others, of course, the supply and demand. But typically what we can find in the spring, because there are people right now that are thinking, I want to list my home, and I'm going to do it in the spring. And I know we've had a rough winter, but what's also happened is there's 2 elements that are tightening the market. The first one is there's really very few builders. The building starts have been low for a long time, so there's really no new inventory coming on the market, but we remain with the same demand. So we're in a position where the resale market has kind of tightened up. There's less listings for sale. There was a report in the Globe and Mail recently that talked about that too, is in Toronto there's normally like 35,000 listings. By now there's like 24,000. So it's a huge tightening right across the board. And we have seen about a $10,000 jump from from December to the January stats. And we've seen some price ranges do really well in Milton. Even some stuff that we sold in December, we're looking now and it's pretty much moved up a ladder rung or two. So we're talking about $10,000 or $20,000 extra. So sometimes the good deals are now, sometimes they've already happened, but it's different with every price range. So it really, I think, actually this time with the shortage of supply, it may not be such a bad time to maybe just get in before that rush of spring properties. And maybe you're the only listing in your price range. I think people underestimate how important really evaluating your competition is. Everyone looks at sales, but that's history. That's stuff that's already happened. The here and now, and putting yourself in a buyer's shoes and saying, look, there's nothing really for sale right now, you can find that you can do very well. So the stats from January generally turned around a little bit, although it's still not at the November numbers. We found that the sales to new listings, which is a function of how many come out compared to how many sell, days on the market crept up a little bit in January for the townhouses. And obviously semi-detached, we're looking at about a 78.6. The real hot time for semis was back in October, and even before that in July it was a massive month for semis. It really bumped the prices up, and we still see those higher prices to this day. It's also a question of affordability too, because the detached homes, even single car garages, have started to creep above 5, and so that's changed the whole dynamic. Whereas I think a lot of people are comfortable in that kind of mid-4 range. It gets a little trickier once you get up there. That's almost the move-up range if somebody got in at the right time and gained some equity. Detached homes had a bit of a slower month. We're at 52% of the listings that came on the market as a ratio of what's selling. 31 days is the highest that we've seen in a little while. September had 30 actually. It was funny. September was a slower month than usual. Condo towns, condo apartments, because of the price point, The condo towns did pretty well. You can see the average price is still around $285. So even with the condo fees, it still tends to be cheaper. 97% of list in 29 days. Some of the days on market with condos is because you actually have a 1 or 2 week period where you request the status certificate and the lawyers look into it. So it takes a bit longer for the deal to come together compared to a freehold house. Condo apartments, 2 sales, 11 new listings. So we saw quite a few come out, and it can be competitive with the condo apartments depending on if all of them have listed in a certain building or if there's a little bit more of a spread. Right now we've seen a fair number of listings come out so far from the Bristol on Main plus Maple Crossing. So those buildings are essentially very similar, and so it makes it difficult when you've got the same unit as yours, 2 or 3 of them for sale at the same time. So the Milton market overall, what we did was the year-to-date stats. It's funny because when you look at last year's numbers, 65% of the listings that came on the market sold. So a lot of people think that's higher, but 2 and 3 listings end up at the finish line as a sale. So really when you look at that is how can you increase the odds? Well, obviously it's the consulting, the experience, having a good marketing plan. And for some of the stuff in the lower ranges, which is much more active, it's not a question of if you're going to sell a townhouse, it's often how much. And so there's strategies that you can use to easily add an extra $5,000 or $10,000 onto your sale price. So if you're interested in that, I'll give you a couple options at the end of this video, a couple things that people have said about us, and then finally you can actually check the links down below to see all of the sales that have happened. So we'll give you really the same access that we have, and then you can meet with us for a pinpoint price analysis, and we'll give you a sense of where things are at, the worst case and best case numbers. And what I would say is there's a lot of people in our industry that tell you what you want to hear instead of the truth. And the truth is it really is something where the buyer is going to decide what the house is worth. So we have to put ourselves in their shoes, and we have to really say, what do we believe they would see the value as? And so what we do is we guarantee in writing to sell the house at the pinpoint price in less than 60 days. The second thing is we can do a room by room review and actually come out. Initially, I always break it down into 2 phases. The first phase is project phase. So those are the things that you need to work on, or at least options. Putting hardwood in, you can sell every house as is, but what we're looking at is what are those leverage points that if you spent $100, you make $500. Those are the kind of things that are important. And then before you sell, like a week or 2 before, that's when we do phase 2, which is the final details, the simplification, the decluttering. Those elements are oftentimes something that you don't need to worry about if you're 3 or 4 months out. Last thing is the silent market. We have a huge list of buyers. Over 11,000 people are subscribed to our Milton Daily Homes list. Right now we're working with 32 buyers, and so there's a lot of people that are waiting for the right house to come out. And so if you want to tell us a bit more about your house, we may already have the buyer, or at least we can give you a sense of how the market's doing for your house. So we sell homes oftentimes before even putting them on the market. So that's a fun thing for buyers and sellers. I think it can be easy, convenient, and oftentimes it even save both people some money. So if you're interested in any of those options, let us know and reach out to us. Like I said, I'm not here for the next week. However, the team is here, and they are fantastic. I take comfort in the Henry Ford method of basically surrounding yourself with very talented people and empowering them to do their best work. So our number is 905-693-9346, and I hope you have a great month. And if you have any questions about anything related to pricing in Milton or timing or your specific situation, we'd definitely be glad to help. So have a great month. We'll see you again.